All right, everyone. Welcome to another free career astrology workshop. If this is your first time joining, welcome. I'm really excited to be hosting this one because I have added a lot more information. And if you have been to my workshops before, you know that it's not always the same theme. And I actually add a lot of information because one of my pet peeves is if I go to a free workshop and literally for like 30 minutes to 45 minutes, they just talk about their story and they talk about like testimonials. And I'm just like, yes, I know you need to share this, but can you just share the information with me? And the workshop ends up being like so long, but mine always are around like 45 to 60 minutes. I have a Virgo placement, a South Node in Virgo, which, I'll talk more about. So I like to keep things on a schedule. And for those who don't know me, my name is Alice and I'm a career astrologer and I'll be facilitating the workshop today. So we're going to start with a grounding meditation. I'll share a little bit about my story, about like my career journey, which I think is very important because so many of us are either like at a crossroads in our career, maybe thinking like, I like my career, but what else is there? Maybe thinking about the transition from corporate to entrepreneurship, or have a business right now and they're just kind of finding their like business sea legs, if you will. So I would love to know in the chat where you are in your career right now, if you're comfortable sharing. And also, you can just DM me as well if you don't want to share it with a larger group. But, how are you feeling about your career? How are you feeling about your life right now? Very curious to know. Lies of growing business sea legs. Unsure about career change. Okay. All right, just keep it coming in. Can do it after the grounding meditation as well. Emily says, I'm transitioning into a different niche. Cool. Really love that. Finding more alignment. Deborah's thinking now would be a good time to change a career. Shayan, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Planning to apply for promotion. Wonderful, Manny. I want to level up in my 9 to 5 and contemplating a side hustle, but no idea what. Yes, Manny. For me, I remember 10 years ago, I had moved back to the United States and I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I had no idea. And I had all these sticky notes above the wall, like for different jobs I could have, as well as businesses I could start. And it took me a couple years to really figure it out. And honestly, I wish at that time I had dove into astrology, looked into it, booked a reading, or attended something like this because it just has given me so much clarity. Because when I found astrology, when I started looking into one of the things that I'll be speaking about today, it really made such a profound difference and gave me more focus and clarity in my path forward instead of just like flailing around in like analysis paralysis and indecision and doubting myself. When in fact, when we are feeling confused, we need to take an action. That's the only way to get clarity, to take an action. And today, you have taken the action to join this workshop, whether live or listening to the replay. So that is a step in the right direction. So let's get started with the grounding meditation. I begin all of my workshops as well as readings with a meditation because we're coming from a lot of different places and spaces, like physically, but also mentally and spiritually as well. And this really brings us into the room, in the space. Even if you're listening to this later and you didn't join the live session, I am holding space for you now, for you to be here and for you to really receive the insights you are meant to receive now. So, wherever you are, I want you to root down through your sit bones, through your feet, and close your eyes here and start to tune into how you're feeling today. Notice the subtleties of your energy moving through your body and of like feelings that might be coming up. And settle into the present moment and the present space by focusing on your inhales and your exhales. Start to lengthen the in breath and extend the out breath. and taking note of the quality of your breathing. The breath really is a powerful tool to get us back into the present moment, to really bring ourselves back into our bodies. Because in the present moment, everything is good. We're okay. We'll begin with 3 cleansing breaths. As you empty the breath out, take a deep breath in through the nose and an audible exhale out through the mouth. Take a deep breath in through the nose and an audible exhale out through the mouth. Another deep breath in through the nose, hold it at the top. Can you sip in a little bit more air? And let it go out through the mouth. Seal the lips, start to breathe it in and out through the nose. And feel the breath move through the back of the throat, down the length of the spine, and into the belly. I invite you to set an intention for the workshop today, just allowing it to organically come into your consciousness. And my invitation for you is to be open in receiving the messages, the insights, the downloads that you need in this moment to take an action, to make a decision. Knowing that everything that I share with you today, everything that comes through, really is for your highest good and exactly what you need to hear. Allow yourself to be open, to receive, and to be inspired, and to step into a place of expansiveness. Empty the breath out. Take a deep breath in through the nose and an audible exhale out through the mouth. And as you're ready, gently open your eyes, coming back to the present moment and the present space. Welcome back. I hope you're feeling a little bit more present, a little bit more centered. I know I always do, even though I facilitate the meditation, which is a little bit different. And I know a few of you joined while we were in the meditation. So please let us know where you're joining from and where you are in your career and how you're feeling about your career, your business, and your side hustle. All right, I'm going to share a little bit about my story. So, I haven't always been an astrologer, and I come from a corporate background. And I never really thought that I was going to start my own business, let alone have it be something in like astrology and something that is very spiritual. This is not what my immigrant Chinese parents thought about for me. But as I reflect back and look at all the different jobs that I've had, all the moments of frustration and questioning, like, am I making the right decision? Is this the right path forward? It all really makes sense. And I went along the typical path of like getting into a good school, getting good grades, getting a good job, and everything really looked wonderful on paper. I had a really great job based out of Shanghai in my 20s that brought me all over Asia, that brought me all over the world, that had me working with like Fortune like 500, 100 like clients, but it really just felt quite empty. And the emptiness I didn't know at the time was a deeper meaning. It was the search for my why and for why my time spent in my working hours were to impact people in a positive way. And I just didn't feel that enough in my 9 to 5. And I went through my Saturn return, which happens in your late 20s, early 30s, and you kind of feel it a lot earlier too, or feel it even more intensely because of something called a reverse nodal return. And both of these together bring a lot of lessons in your late 20s and early 30s. And what I learned during this time was to reconfigure my definition of success, my belief systems, and carving out a different and new path for myself. Because one of the core tenets of who I am is to value freedom and adventure. And like, I think really throughout my professional career, And even when I was working in college, because I had tons of internships and jobs, there was always a very strong entrepreneurial spirit within that I was just like denying. And when I started to be more open to it, there was a clearer path forward. And so I started this specific business about 6 years ago. It was an events business based in Washington, D.C., that has really grown and shifted and changed along with me. Because over the last 3 years, I've really focused more on astrology, doing readings, doing workshops, doing like corporate team building sessions to showcase how astrology can be a very powerful tool in helping you understand who you are, what you want in this life, and how you want to contribute your skills, your talents, and how to really cultivate the part of you that really wants to come through in this lifetime. And I've gone through a lot of twists and turns in my career before this business. I had an e-commerce company, and like from the e-commerce business to this business, I like worked for someone else. I thought about like getting like another typical job, and now looking back, I want you to know if you feel like your path is a bit like up and down and all over the place, it all will make sense really soon. And my intuition told me to create yoursaturn.com where you got your free report and what powers generating the free reports and the expanded reports. Like about like about 2, 3 years ago. And it was a very scary leap forward, but very much so in line with things I'm meant to be learning in this lifetime, which I'll be covering today. All right, but first, let's make sure we're all on the same page with astrology basics. I know that we have varying degrees of astrological knowledge, and the best thing about my workshops is that it's very easy to understand because I will give you the astrology kind of like basics and jargon, but really try to break it down in very practical, accessible ways. But first, we want to talk about the sun, the moon, the rising. This is kind of like your big three and what people really talk about when they're starting to get to know astrology a lot better. Your sun is your identity, it's who you are. Your moon is your inner world, how you process your emotions. Not a lot of people see this inner part of you. Your rising sign is really how you see the world, first impressions you make, and kind of like how people see you. And all these three come together to make kind of like the foundation of your personality and who you are. And for me, my sun is in Leo. So a big part of who I am is someone who really enjoys like being creative, but I didn't really realize that until like when I started this business. I love giving presentations. So back when I worked at a PR agency, that was the job I had in my 20s abroad in Asia. I loved presenting to clients. Like I just got such a thrill. And now I give workshops virtually and in person. So it's like really just shifted. My moon and my rising actually are the same sign. They're in Capricorn. So you can see like it like kind of overpowers like my like Leo sun a little bit because Leo is very like carefree and playful. It represents like the inner child and like children. And Capricorn is a serious sign. It is representative of like masculine energy and like the father figure and really one about like responsibility. It loves to focus on work. So there is no surprise why I am specifically a career and business astrologer rather than like let's say like an astrologer that focuses on relationships and love. And so with a Capricorn moon, it has been challenging in my life to really attune to my emotions and understand them. But with astrology, it's really helped me to understand like, oh, so as a Capricorn moon and I kind of like to keep my emotions at a distance and I like to work when I'm feeling like stressed or emotional or sad, I'm like, if I work, it'll be better. No, that's not the case. You have to feel your feelings. And then with a Capricorn rising, when people meet me, they don't expect an astrologer. Um, Sometimes I can come across a little serious when you first meet me, depending on like the situation and how you meet me. And I really see the world through a business lens. Like in college, like I would like love to read like the financial like Times, the Wall Street Journal. I was just always really curious about that. And since then, I really shifted to really focusing on helping people understand, their purpose, their why, as it kind of comes through career or business, and how astrology can really help give you an edge as you navigate changes, but really just like in your everyday life. All right. So we're going to move on to the North Node now. And this is different from your sun, your moon, your rising, but all the definitions of each of the 12 signs that I'm going to give you can be applied to your sun, your moon, and your rising. And in your free report, and those with the expanded report, that's like the first like few pages of your expanded report. That first paragraph, that's all about like your sun, your moon, and your rising, to put it into more like colloquial terms. Okay, so I'm going to focus on the North Node today to give you insights to ways that you can expand the different types of jobs and career paths you're pursuing, as well as if you're looking to start like a side hustle, a side business, or looking to create and move into a business, a startup full time. So a lot of astrologers, they really enjoy talking about the midheaven when it comes to career success and what you're meant to be doing in this lifetime. But I really enjoy talking about the North Node because I think that the North Node, as it embodies and tells you insights about what you're meant to be learning in this lifetime, who you are becoming, it's almost like a destiny. And you need to embody this part of who you are because it has direct implications to your midheaven, which talks a lot about success. And I think that this resonates more because I feel like it's very present in your everyday life and in specific moments in time as well. Okay, let me see. Any comments we have here? Savannah says, I work in a corporate job and got a promotion at the end of April. Congratulations, learning a lot. My new supervisors are asking me what I want to do or where I see myself, and it's hard for me to answer. I'm really unsure. Okay, so looking at the North Node should be very helpful. Ciara, airline pilot, being called to start my own business, first with maybe a side hustle, but in hopes one day to quit like the full-time job, hate the corporate life, want more freedom, and want to be less masculine in what I do for work. Have so many business ideas, but need to narrow them down. Okay, wonderful. We will get to that today as well, getting one step closer to clarity. Something that Ciara brought up that I think is really important to mention, especially we are in Cancer season, and you know, what I have really been exploring is that a lot of like women and female identifying individuals, like we've had to be very masculine in the business world, in the working world, and in our personal lives, we can't maintain that type of energy. We need to kind of almost like code switch. And this is one of the reasons why it can be challenging in like romantic relationships, like friendships with family, because we're so much in the masculine that we can't really turn it off in other areas of our life. All of us have the masculine and the feminine within us. And it's not about like choosing one or the other, it's finding balance. And as someone with a lot of like Capricorn in their chart, I find that one of the most challenging things for me is to know that I don't need to be leading all the time, especially if you have Virgo in your chart as well. Like, I don't need to solve everyone's problems. Like, I can, quote unquote, as TikTok says, live a softer life, live a soft life, and just like let people help me, ask for help. I think it's part of toxicity that kind of like can move through the like if you've always been like a high achieving individual, if you're type A, if you're firstborn, like if you have immigrant parents, if you are an immigrant, like there's just like so much that you feel like you need to be doing, like, or else like you're not worthy, or like you need to earn like love, you need to earn like like just like rest, but all of these things are just like mindsets and things that really need to be shifted so that you can feel more in your flow. And this year is a huge year as we step into more intuition-led living, and listening and trusting ourselves to make the best decisions, even if it doesn't make sense in the moment. One of the examples I gave last night, I was doing a lot of readings at an event, was like some of you are very psychic and very intuitive, and it can come through in a very interesting way. Like, let's say at work, your supervisor, you really love them, and they are going to say, like, hey, I am going to help you get your promotion or a raise, whatever. Like, this is like something I'm very passionate about. But maybe for you, you're like, yeah, I really appreciate you saying this, but I don't know if it's gonna come through in this next cycle. And it's kind of weird to have that dissonance. And it's not that your boss doesn't want to help you, but there are other moving parts, like not in the budget, maybe the supervisor, like something else that's happening that you sense. You're like, oh, I don't think this is going to happen because maybe you're not going to be there, or there are going to be budget cuts, or there's something that your manager isn't aware of that they cannot control. So that's an example of kind of like intuition-led living and decision making, and how to trust yourself. Like it's not that the other person isn't telling the truth, but there is more going on than meets the eye. And says, what if our North Node doesn't easily align with other important placements relevant to this? Don't worry. Like once we get into it, you can ask some more specific questions. Because there's different ways that the North Node would manifest. Sarah says, Capricorn rising, North Node in Capricorn. So yeah, it's a lot. Deborah says, I'm firstborn and approach work differently from my siblings. Yeah. My sister, like I see her like working. She's my younger sister, and I'm just like, she works hard, but she also like, you know, like she works from home, like takes a lot of time just for herself, and like I'm always feeling like I need to earn my keep when I like have a job, like a typical job, and it's just so funny how she doesn't feel that way. Maybe because she's like younger as well, but I digress. Let's get back to the North Node. So the opposite of your North Node is your South Node, and it's about past lives, karma, and master skills. If you have your free report, the South Node like isn't in the chart properties, so don't worry, I will get to that in the next slide or so, in a couple slides. But if you have your expanded report, it is part of it, so you'll know it's always the opposite sign. So in some ways, I actually think that the South Node represents your big three, so your sun, your moon, your rising, better, because the South Node is something that we're really, really familiar with. And oftentimes, when you're feeling stuck in your career, you're probably getting stuck in being in a South Node role, or like kind of in a job that represents that, or just kind of spinning your wheels, like just thinking in this one arena where you should be thinking more about the North Node, because this is a place of expansion. Now, it doesn't mean you're not going to use some of these skills or maybe be in like an industry or a job that has some of the reflection of your South Node placement, but it's there to help you. It's not like kind of in the forefront, it's in the background. Okay, so I'm going to use myself as an example. And this is also the current placement we have right now. The North Node is in Pisces. So I'm actually going through something called my nodal return. So I'm embodying the characteristics of Pisces and letting go of unhealthy characteristics of Virgo. So I started my career in very Virgo jobs. Like I was like an account manager at a PR agency. I was always coming in like fixing problems. And after a certain point, I just kind of got sick of it. And it especially really made itself known in my early 30s. I was just like, I don't want to fix other people's problems anymore. I don't want to make other people wealthy. I want to reclaim my time and all of my hours worked. I want to create wealth for myself, or at least do it on my own terms. And when I started to understand and learn more about my North Node and my South Node, I was like, oh, it was very interesting because I didn't really relate to my North Node. I was like, to be dreamy, to be intuitive, to be creative and more feminine in my flow. Like, it was just so crazy to me when I found out about it. I think it was probably like 8 years ago, 7 to 8 years ago. And since then, I've really stepped into like this. this person and someone with the company that is very intuition led, that is very spiritual, because Pisces is a very psychic sign. And, I do readings. And it's taken a lot for me to shift from the south node to the north. Now I still use, my like strengths from my south node in Virgo. As you can see, like I have a presentation up. I like to keep good time moving through my presentations. And with my readings, I always like to give like practical, approachable, accessible ways to apply the astrological insights and knowledge into the spiritual, into the astrological. And that's why people, I think, really enjoy my work early on in exploring astrology and spirituality, because I have a very grounded, practical approach. And that is very much so represented in the free report and the expanded report. Okay, let's see. We had some questions coming in. Oh, South Node in Leo. Okay, great. So the opposite signs. So let's say your north node is in Libra. That means your south node is in Aries. So take a moment right now to kind of identify what your north node is and seeing like they come in pairs and opposites. So if your north node is in Sagittarius, that means your south node is in Gemini. And I'm going to go through each of these. And if you want to share, you can pop it into the chat. Anu says your north node is in Gemini, so your south node is in Sagittarius. Savannah, that means north node in Aquarius and south node in Leo. Okay. So let's talk about your placements. I'm going to go through each of the elements and talk about each of the signs specifically. So we're going to start off with fire signs. So we're focusing on north node in a fire sign. Oh, Deborah, you are first up. So actually, north node in Aries, that means your south node is in Libra. Liza says North Node in Aries, South Node in Libra. With my rising in Pisces, I feel like I struggle with this placement and that other things in my chart. Okay, let's talk about this. So for everyone who has a North Node or South Node in Aries, or Libra, like congratulations, because the last 2 years have been a lot. Because collectively, the North Node was in Aries. Remember what I said earlier? The North Node is in Pisces now. So like the last 2 years have been really challenging for those with like Aries placements or Libra placements because of the North Node in Aries and the South Node in Libra. We learned a lot of lessons around leadership, around boundaries, around relationships. A lot of relationships were released. If you are still friends with people, dating the same person, have the same supervisor or coworkers, like congratulations, because that was a hell of a ride. Like honestly, I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna survive this. Like really. Oh, Deborah's like, your north node is in Leo. Okay, that means your south node is in Aquarius. Like I was like, I can't take like more of this. It was so intense. But that part of our lesson is done. So the North Node in Aries, that's all about stepping into your leadership, letting go of needing to people please, letting go of the need to ask for others, of like, what's the right thing to do? A North Node in Aries is one of the placements I say that is very entrepreneurial. So it's very, like, it feels very good for you to do your own thing, because also, like, you're learning how to be independent and learning that you can do hard things on your own because you've been so reliant on others. Your lesson in this lifetime is to focus on your vision, your desires, and creating strong boundaries. Now, a North Node in Leo is stepping into the limelight, stepping onto the stage. This can feel very uncomfortable if you don't have any Leo placements, because with the North Node in Leo, you are looking to be more creative. You are looking to allow yourself to shine more and to step away and step out of the background, step out of the shadows and into the light, and allowing people to see you. And that can be like really, really scary. Like every time I get um someone with like a North Node in Leo, a lot of times they're like, oh, like I don't know if I could do this. But when they do it, like magic happens, like everything comes into place. Okay, Emily has a North Node in Taurus. Wonderful. We'll get to that. And then with the North Node in Sagittarius, without fail, I did like a bunch of readings yesterday at the event with like people with North nodes in Sagittarius. And it was so obvious because they had accents. They were British. And I was like, yes, this makes a lot of sense. They're like working in the US or, they're working like abroad and visiting the US office. But a Northern Sagittarius almost always means that you are going to live abroad. You come from like a small community or a very tight-knit family, and you're meant to be adventurous and free and travel the world and to really hone in on your communication skills and to be a teacher, like a lifelong learner. Taking in information and sharing it is a big part of a Northern Sagittarius. Next up, we have earth signs. So, with the North Node in Taurus, you are meant to be grounding your intuition, the ideas that are always flowing to you into reality. And some things that you might be working in could be in luxury, could be in food and beverage, in finance. You're learning how to be more of this world because all of my earth north nodes, they have like water south node. So you are naturally very intuitive, very empathic, psychic, and you're meant to use all of those insights in this lifetime and to make it part of this world. And a lot of times with the Northern and Taurus, like doing something related to the home, real estate, architecture is also a possibility as well. With the North Node in Virgo, getting more organized, creating more structure and routine in your life is a big thing. And it's going to feel very stretchy for you to work in roles that require you to solve problems, to be keeping everybody like on pace with like timelines because you're naturally someone who can kind of just like be lost in like the activity that they're doing or just like in the day. Then we have a Northern and Capricorn. The Northern and Capricorn is a very interesting placement because when people come to me with a Northern and Capricorn, the biggest thing I tell them is that it's okay that you have a lot of ideas because you're not meant to be doing one thing. You're not meant to be starting just one business. It is multiple businesses, and it's about picking the idea that resonates with you now and listening to your intuition and following that inner guidance and inner compass and knowing when is it time to move on to the next thing or to start another thing. So in Northern and Capricorn, at the very least, they're going to be in a leadership position and maybe like opening up an office, opening up a, like a store or a location if they aren't going to be an entrepreneur. Okay, next we have air signs. So North Node in Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius. So with the North Node in Gemini, like sharing your knowledge with others in very like practical ways. So like let's say like it could be having like a newsletter, a Substack, it could be on social media, it could be writing a book, working in PR or media or advertising, and learning to not run away from your problems and to really build local community, find a place where you can stay for a while because with the North Node in Gemini, it's like very easy for them to want to just like move around all the time because their south node is in Sagittarius. North node in Libra, they are meant to be doing things with others. They are very good with doing things on their own because they have a south node in Aries, but in this lifetime, they're learning that the right relationships really, really make a difference. And North Node in Libra jobs could be something like social. It could be like a power connector and networker, a lawyer, a diplomat, someone who just like connects people because they are very social. Also could be in like event planning or in like human resources or like talent management, that type of stuff. A North Node in Aquarius is learning how to be their own self, their quirky self, because a North Node in Aquarius is very innovative. They have different ways of seeing the world and doing things. It's a very innovative placement. And they really care about values alignment in what they do. So if they're working for a company and their values and the company values aren't aligned, then it's time to break away and to separate. They are also really good teachers and they could be working in something that's like in engineering. As well as humanitarian efforts, something that's like issues oriented and centered. Let's see, question. Savannah says, yes, that makes a lot of sense and resonates with me. I'm like, what was your that means like your north node is in Aquarius. Yes. It's like permission to be like your weird self. That's the best way that I can describe it. I love it here. Thanks, Emily. Okay, so now we have water signs, North Node in Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. North Node in Cancer, you are stepping into like a softer way of living because of your South Node in Capricorn. You like naturally always think of ways of like working and business, and you're finding more balance in this lifetime because the sign of Cancer represents the feminine, the mother, Capricorn, the father, and the masculine. And very poignant in this season, with the North Node in Cancer, you are being invited to focus more on the people you call your family, to focus on honing in on your intuition to find more of a flow state in your life rather than like kind of like a do, 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 do. It's about being. This sign is also closely related, very similar to Taurus, like the home, interior design, making people feel safe. So you could also be doing something in the healing arts, being like a therapist, an intuitive, interior designer. North Node in Scorpio, you are meant to be stepping into a place that is comfortable with change and like embracing your emotions and also like activating your magnetism. Scorpio is one of those really interesting placements, whether you have it in your North Node or other areas of your chart, where people can feel very magnetized towards you. You could have your sun in Scorpio, you could have your sun in Gemini in the eighth house. The eighth house represents Scorpio. That could also bring in this magnetism as well. And they are also very curious. They see things that other people don't. They're very intuitive. Sometimes they get themselves into trouble because they will say the truth. They're truth seekers, and it can land the wrong way if it's not brought up at the right time and with the right people. So a Northern in Scorpio is really learning how to speak the truth, see the truth, and embrace it. And then with the Northern and Pisces, I covered that already. It's about being more creative, tapping into psychic abilities, being more like of an artist, and being more imaginative. All right. So I have this handy dandy slide that like brings all of these together that were on each of the slides when we were talking about the elements. So you can look at this for your North Node and your South Node, and I would note that down in your notebook, kind of like the roles and the industries that would work for your like North Node and your South Node, because I have something later on. I'm just like checking in on the time. I had more slides. I'm like, I might go like a little bit over today. So take note of your North Node and your South Node and see if like any of these like resonate with you. Okay, let me see. We had a question. Oh, no question. Okay. So the next slide is about characteristics, creativity, leadership, directness for Aries. Like these are things, if you have a North Node in Gemini, like it's like to embody more of being like a storyteller, to work on your ability to influence and to connect with others. These are some characteristics that you're embodying in this lifetime. Oh, great. And I'm happy. Yes, the houses matter as well. I don't think I have time for the houses today because I have a lot more information, but the houses will tell you where. So like industries that you could work in and like potential roles as well. Okay, so the two different ways, or the different ways that like the North Node can manifest in your life. Because we spend so much time working, I actually don't agree with like what a lot of people say when they're like, "Oh, your purpose like doesn't need to be tied with your job." And I'm like, for a lot of us, it's going to be that just because it's like, where else, when else are you going to do this? Unless like you're independently wealthy or, you feel like you can take some time off to explore. A lot of it's going to come through with work. So the way that your North Node is going to manifest, it's going to be a career or job or like a business that you have. Like you're actively working in it. And I'm an example of that. So like my North Node is in Pisces, I just happen to have a spiritual business. I'm working like as an astrologer. I'm doing a lot of creative things. I'm doing a lot of writing. Like your free report, your expanded report, I wrote all of that. It was not AI. That was me. The OG AI. We are all the OG AIs, the original computer. And so that's one example. But another thing is about lessons in character development. Like, let's say you have your North Node in Pisces, but you're not working in a spiritual space, but you're working on embodying being more creative, being more intuition led, finding like more ways to be like embodying feminine energy. So that's an example. And when I was like typing this, I was like, ooh, character development. That's like really good. And like so like LA because of the entertainment industry. But you can think about it as character development. Okay, so North Node and the higher self. So if you're not familiar with the term the higher self, it's like, like what is like your spiritual self like really want for you? And like when you connect with your higher self, like this is a version of you that can give you a lot of guidance on a lot of like healers and like people in the spiritual space, like they'll talk about connecting with your higher self. I like to see the North Node and the higher self connect as like your earthly embodiment of your higher self. Like when your higher self is talking to you in meditation or through journaling, she or he or they are like, this is what I want for you. Your North Node is in Aries. I want you to feel more empowered. I want you to feel strong. I want you to feel like you can like follow through on the vision you have for yourself and create a life beyond your wildest dreams. If your North Node is in Leo, I want you to shine brightly. I want you to develop confidence and feel comfortable in sharing your authentic self with others. So, like, I believe that if we're feeling a little bit lost in our careers, step into the sign of your North Node. Spend a day and be like, what would it be like if I did like all these things related to like Aquarius? Like what is an Aquarius like? And kind of like do like a fun exercise of like, okay, let me look up like let me review what Alice has said about like Aquarius is and like, what would my life be like? And to connect and be friends with Aquariuses, with Pisces, with Aries, like they already naturally, like that's part of who they are. So being with them, it's just going to be very eye-opening. You're like, oh, this is how they're living, this is how they're engaging and acting and making decisions. Like, how can I use that information to help me understand my North Node placement? Because sometimes it can be really challenging to understand. So it says, it's true the way you say, yeah, your main character in your life, so it's character development. Yes. Okay. So there are a couple things I wanted to share about entrepreneurship placements. I know a lot of people are thinking about this more than ever because of the state of the economy. And like, I always believe there's a job that you can find. But what we're increasingly realizing as a collective and not just pockets is that you need to be the one in control and driving your own wealth, your own ability to feel fulfilled in your career because no matter how much time and effort you put into a 9 to 5, it could very well like just like go away. And you don't want to give so much power to others, to like an intangible entity, like a company, to make you feel like, okay, like this is the only way I can make money. Like, no, there's so many different ways to make money. And a lot of us, I think, whether or not you have these placements, and it's a lot more nuanced than what I'm going to share, but these are some highlights that really stood out to me that I wanted to share. But I think in the future, all of us are going to find some way to be entrepreneurial and developing like income for ourselves independent from this like one bigger thing or one main thing. So we feel more stable and the sense of safety and stability from within. So these are some of the ones that I really have seen over my years of giving readings that have a strong push to be entrepreneurial. So the Scorpio is because a lot of times people can be jealous and feel very intimidated by you at work. And if you haven't found like the right people, the supervisors, and the right working environment to thrive, a lot of times they're just like, okay, I'm just gonna leave because they've experienced a lot of work trauma. And actually, I went to this like book event a couple weeks ago. I was leading a meditation for it, and the author said something that was so fucking profound that I was just like, oh my God. She said that entrepreneurship sometimes can be a trauma response. And I had to sit with that and think. I was like, yes, absolutely, because I didn't feel like I was being like respected at work. I didn't feel like I was growing enough. Like I wanted to make more money. I wanted to have all these things I wanted to do. And like people and supervisors like weren't being thoughtful enough to be like, hey, you know, this is what we can do, this is what we can and cannot do, or it feels like you really want to do this. This is something we can give you, and let's work together collaboratively. I just felt like I hit a lot of like no's and like walls, and also like deep unappreciation for the work that I did, for all the things that I fixed, that I was just like, I'm gonna do my own thing. And also, anyone who's worked a corporate job, like it feels like things are always hanging on thread. And I was like, I think I could do this like a lot better. So that's something that I thought that was like really interesting that you guys can like noodle on. So Capricorn, Aries, those signs are also very independent and very like career and business driven. And if you're unfamiliar with a stellium is three or more planets in a sign or in a house. And that brings kind of like an additional vibe. So sometimes people don't relate to their sun, their moon, their rising. And it is because they have like six like planets in another house. That is a very dominant energy. Like I've seen this. Let's say like you have no Leo in your chart, but you have three or four planets in the fifth house, then you actually do feel a lot of Leo qualities. And when you look at your chart initially, it can be confusing. You're like, well, I feel this way, but I don't see it like kind of like obviously stated like in my chart as a sign, because astrology is very nuanced. And the more that we drill down, the more information we can find. So for a stellium, it's not in the big three. It's like in general for your chart when you look at your chart properties in the free or expanded report. Lai says I have Mars in Aries and Northern Aries. Quitting my career in education in my early 30s and starting my business was the scariest and best decision I ever made, going on my second business out. So happy, so proud of you. Aries energy is impatient. It wants to do things. And really, like the last 2 years with your Northern and Aries, like it's really refined what you want to create, Liza. So I'm like really happy that you have like this second business. Probably last year's been a little bit like tricky, but you have so much more clarity this year. Sierra says stellium in Capricorn in the first house. Yes, that is a lot around. I want to do my own thing. I want to build something. Oh, Alexis, also Capricorn stellium in the first house. It's interesting with a Capricorn stellium in the first house. If you have like your moon in the first house, if it's part of this stellium, you have feelings, more feelings than you would like to know. Life says, hell yeah, refined is the word. This one is so much more aligned. Yes. Sometimes the path, the decision we take, the job, the business we start first isn't where we need to go, but it's like where that's like our final destination, or like on the way to final destination. You can think of it as like when you're going on a vacation and you need to like, let's say it's like, let's take the Maldives. We're going to the Maldives, everyone. This is a group trip. And you need to do a lot of things. You need to get into a car to get you to the airport. From the airport, God forbid you're at the gate that, you need to take a little like tram or a bus to get to your gate, to get to your plane. Then you're on the plane. Then you get to the next airport. Then you maybe are on another tram, another escalator, or like a walkway. Then you get on a bus, a taxi. Then you get to the hotel. Then, because we're going to the Maldives, like we actually need to take a taxi bus, like a water taxi. So you can think of it in like these different iterations. Like maybe right now you're in the car to the airport, or maybe you've landed and now you're going to your hotel for your vacation. We're all at different places and it continues to cycle again and again. Or you're at the layover. Yes, Savannah, maybe you're at the layover. And it's an in-between time, but have fun. Go explore. Go to the shops. Get the voucher. Eat the food. Leave the airport. Scorpio moons. Y'all have a lot of feelings. You can have a lot of power over people, master manifestors, but also people can really be kind of like mean to you at times. You can be misunderstood at work. Like people can be jealous of you. People can be obsessive about you, and you're just like, I just need time alone. And somehow somebody always finds you. That's another topic. I digress. So it says Cancer Moon, ton of Cancer in your chart. This will be a really interesting year for you because of Jupiter in Cancer. So I'm excited. And also it's Cancer season. Very heart opening. You're probably going to be crying a lot the next few weeks. So these are some placements that I really feel have a strong push and pull to entrepreneurship, but that is like not the end all be all. This is just like the things that are like top of mind for me. So, finding your bridge job. Some of you may be looking for your bridge job, and it is connecting your north node and your south node and finding an amalgamation. So, when I did my bridge job, it was I started my own business with some other business partners, and it was a startup. So, that was the leap of faith. But I was in a role that was like very operational, but then I also took on a product creation role. So I was doing a COO and CMO role and responsible for creating a lot of different like products that we sold on like Amazon and Etsy and stuff like that. So I was able to be very creative, but also very operationally driven. So looking at your north node and your south node, see what you can do to combine the two together, whether it's like the role, the industry, or the skills that you need. And that will really help you to kind of get to where you want to be, which is like the North Node embodiment and like perhaps like roles and businesses to start and industries. So I'll just take a minute here. Let me know if you have any questions or if you would like to dive in a little bit more around that. Yes, it is. So Anna is saying a Northern and Capricorn does your own therapy business. Act as a bridge. It does because you have a South Node in Cancer, so this is like very naturally intuitive and like therapy work, caring for others is a big part. But instead of working for like a collective of like therapists, like you doing your own work through like workshops or like private practice, like that's going to fulfill your desire to do things on your own, to be independent and focus on you. Savannah says, I'm finding personally just experiencing things at work helps me realize what I do and don't enjoy. Yes, absolutely. Taking action and exploring. Liza says, oh my God, that's a wonderful term. Yes, my first business was a bridge job. I started a bespoke boutique supporting animal rescues around the world. Very Libra. My son is an Aquarius. Great metaphor and term. Yes. Libra, like, just like cares so much and is really good at bringing people together. Okay, Deborah says, what a bridge job for like Leo North Node and Aquarius South Node. So I would say, oh, very quickly, let me just go back for CN so that they can figure out their south node here. So it's the opposite signs here. Okay. So a bridge job for Leo, North Node, and Aquarius South Node. So let's say like as a South Node in Aquarius, you're working as an engineer or have an engineering job. And what you can do to step into your North Node and Leo in the current role is to do more trainings for people, to give more presentations, to speak at conferences. That would be a good example. Okay, have people done two jobs at the same time as a bridge? Yes. I have clients right now, one-on-one clients who like do coaching with me that are doing it, like are doing just that, actually with multiple businesses. And the key is to keep yourself organized, very disciplined, and also a lot of grace and empathy because it's tiring to work like multiple things. It pulls your energy in different directions, but it's also like very rewarding to be able to do all those things at work at once. It's kind of like you ebb and flow. Like I've done that as well, like doing my own thing and taking like freelance work and doing my own thing completely. It's like finding a good balance. But yes, Alexa says, what would be a bridge job for Sagittarius North Node and Gemini South Node? So when you have your North Node in Sagittarius or Gemini, I actually think that it's not a very, like, it's not as challenging of a placement, at least from looking at it from just like North Node in Sagittarius and Gemini and South Node without looking at houses. With the North Node in Sagittarius, I would say being able to travel for work being able to do like training, like traveling around for training is also really good as well because you're moving away from, let's say, like a close-knit family, a community, and doing your own thing and being adventurous. So anything that allows you to like have freedom to explore and to adventure, to maybe like learn a lot. Like Sagittarius placements love to learn, like certifications, like going back to school, something that allows you to continue to learn, but also share your learnings as well. And it could be, let's say, like still working in the same job, but you are like in a teaching role, like same company, but you're in a teaching or training role, or going to conferences around the world. Okay. Savannah says, I'm a Sag rising, I'm that way. Also, you have imposter syndrome, and a lot of it's just in your head. Emily asks, so if I'm a North Node in Taurus, I'm a Scorpio South Node. Yes, you are a Scorpio South Node. And with the North Node in Taurus, it's about finding stability from the in. Anu. Bridge shot for North Node in Gemini and South Node in Sag. So it's like the opposite. I have a Taurus rising. Oh, great. So it could be starting your own social media account and platform because you have so much like knowledge. It could be, let's say, like with a South Node in Sagittarius, this means like you probably have done a bit of traveling or like working abroad or want to do that. It could be documenting your journey. One of the most important things is to really find ways to like root down and ground down in local community. So it could be finding like a local cause or cultivating like local community around something that you really care about. A North Node in Gemini is also really big on like writing and speaking and of course gathering community. So any of those things that kind of like support your natural skills of just like being very like strategic, being very worldly, and being very adventurous. It's a lot more subtle, Gemini and Sagittarius. Oh, honest dream job is to get paid to travel. I would say there's a lot to be done in like local travel and creating like guides for people and like how to get away like at home. Just because like, you know, I know for a lot of people, finances can be feeling like really tight. So how can you just do something nice for yourself? And also traveling, honestly, like it's like I hate traveling these days. I used to love traveling, but now like getting on a plane like feels like so miserable. I'm like, oh, like the delays and like I flew to New York for like a workshop a couple months ago and I flew into Newark and in the US like Newark, New Jersey, that airport like literally was shut down. They were like, do not fly here, do not fly. People were on strike. The planes like weren't taking off. Like the FAA wasn't work like they didn't know where the planes were. It was so crazy. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna stay in Los Angeles. There's lots to see. Like in my hometown. All right. So, oh, I was like, wait, we already did all this. Okay. So that's all I have for you today. We're not going to be able to cover the houses. I will do that another time. I would love to know, actually, for July, I was actually thinking about doing a workshop about like corporate to entrepreneurship. And I would love to know if that's something that you're interested in. So let me just put up a poll here. And if you're listening to the replay, please comment on the video. Let me get this poll up. So my question is, it's like loading now. Hmm, Workshop workshop for July. And this one's going to be free. And if you loved this workshop, consider joining the membership because I'm going to be doing the July forecast next month, as well as talking about the divine feminine and masculine and how to balance that. So either like leaving corporate for entrepreneurship or finding your business idea. Okay, let me save this. Um, okay, save. Let me launch this. Okay, launch. Let me know. The poll is up. Oh yeah, the houses. Okay. Yes, I would love to. I'm also going to take a poll on my stories as well. We don't have enough people in this like to actually get like a good, I feel like, um indicator, but it'll be nice. And like if you want like, oh, I should have put like both. If you want both, let me know in the chat. It's like kind of changing. Okay. Yeah, let me know what you would prefer, especially those listening to the replay. I know majority of you are going to be listening to the replay. Just please let me know. Maybe I'll like find a way to put up a poll in like the comments. Okay. So I think love the transition most, but both would be great. Okay. What about the houses? Just left corporate in both options. Maybe I like do both. I'll find a way to combine the both. Thank you for sharing your insights because it seemed like most people wanted to like finding your business idea. So I will take a note of that. And for those with their own businesses, you actually, your business has a birth chart too. You can put it through yoursan.com to understand the person you need to be so the business can feel really supported and successful. Bye, Liza. Okay, that is all I have for you today. I don't have time to take like more questions, but thank you so much for joining this free career astrology workshop. If you have more questions, let me know. You can just email me. You can book a reading. You can join the membership. I will follow up with the replay as well as other ways to work with me. And stay tuned for next month for the next free workshop. Have a wonderful Friday and an even better weekend. Bye.